This is dralvin.com, the business of wisdom. World leaders and thinkers do come to chat. We're fortunate to have Dianne James on the telephone line. She has a powerful new book entitled The Real Brass Ring, Change Your Life Course Now. First of all, why did you decide to put together this book?
Well, Dr. Alvin, this was a 10-year journey for me. I actually, at about 38 years old, I decided to go for a visit, actually, to an internationally known psychic named Sonia Choquette. And at the time, I had all the trappings of the American dream. I had, the big education, the big house across from the lake, kids, busy family. I was doing everything that I was supposed to do. And so when I went to go see her, I really thought that she was going to, sing my praises and tell me that I was the cat's meow. But instead, that fateful day, I sat in her office and she nailed me. She nailed me with all of my falsehoods, all my lies, and said that I was this unlit Christmas tree and none of the bulbs were firing, and that everything about my life was wrong.
So back up. Why did you initially go to her, first of all?
I was really kind of going to her because a couple of friends had recommended it, and I thought it would be a fun birthday present for myself. So I chose to kind of go down and just splurge and make it a kind of a special gift for myself.
Give me a little idea, prior to this encounter, your concept of philosophy or spirituality.
I have a background originally in psychology and also philosophy, so I am a spiritual sponge. I have been studying metaphysics, born and raised Catholic, but studying metaphysics in every different type of science, of philosophy, thoughts, human behavior that I could ever put my hands on. So I have a very broad background and decided instead of getting into psychology, I decided to do what I was told to do. So I was this excellent soldier. My dad said you could be a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer, or an accountant. And if you do those four things, you're going to be a happy person. So I kind of did a one-off. I got a master's in marketing and decided to actually study marketing communications, and I did that mostly for engineering-type firms. So I have a very broad background both in business and then also in the kind of sort of the creative arts and a massive background in philosophy.
Did you learn a lot about yourself during this course or this encounter as relates to the subject of fear?
Oh, I learned a tremendous amount. Sonia took every single thing that I had been afraid of, everything that I had hidden, everything that I had covered up. I was 190 pounds at the time. I was clinically depressed. I was never speaking my truth. I was not living my truth. My relationship was shallow and hollow in that we had more of a fraternal type relationship, and I was not looking at any of my key life lessons which revolved around basically self-loathing and self-disgust. And she took all of that, she piled it all up, and she batted it right in front of me and said, nothing about your life is authentic, and you're about to miss the real brass ring. And if you don't hurry up and take care of all of these issues, it's going to be too late. Hence the title of the book, The Real Brass Ring. It took me 10 years to address all those fears, all of my anxieties, everything that was wrong with me physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually at the time, and to revamp the entire state of living. And I created 14 shortcuts for happy living by which I live now and which I share with clients and everyone that I can possibly talk to so they can have a very happy midlife reboot instead of going through all the struggles I had to go through.
So how do you find the brass ring? What is it?
The brass ring, actually, what I found it to be is a combination of truly understanding your life's work, which always resonates with how your heart feels at the time, something that gets you excited, something that puts that light back in your eyes, something that makes you joyful and happy doing it. Even though not all of it might be fun, most of it's great fun to do. The other part of it is finding what I call your financial track. Sometimes your life's work may be your financial track. Sometimes your financial track is not exactly your life's work, and it's just there to support your life's work. Support yourself in a happy way. And the other part of the real brass ring is recognizing and seeing opportunities that come along, sometimes a little smoky, sometimes a little hard to see through whether this is something you should pursue or not, but being able to jump on the aspect of synchronicity and saying, I'm going to go for that right now no matter what. And the book is all about recognizing these opportunities, seeing what's coming along, getting in touch with your truth, your real truth, and putting all fear aside in order to move forward into a life that is 100% happy, and so you can say, I love what I'm doing every day.
You mentioned it earlier concerning the role of parenting and family as it relates to your personal development. In chapter number 2 of your book, you deal with the subject of stinking thinking and also relating to the choices perhaps others may have for us. In the chapter Stinking Thinking, what is that all about?
Stinking thinking is all about being programmed. We don't mean to, and our parents don't mean to do this, but until the age of about 12 or 13, we don't have a filter. Piaget talks about this in all of his studies. We don't even develop the sense of being able to put that filter up and say the messages that are coming in may or may not apply to me. So until we're about 12, we're sucking in and drinking in all these messages. And a lot of the messages I had heard from childhood were basically post-depression type messages. Things like, you know, before you even go out the door, you're going to go on this fabulous trip. Everybody says, oh, be safe, have a safe trip. And I could never figure out why I had to be safe. I was going to go enjoy myself, have a good time, maybe relax a little bit, but there's always these tied messages about eat everything on your plate because somebody in another country is not going to have enough food. Well, I could never figure out, even if I sent them my food, how would it get there and be fresh enough for them to eat? So a lot of the messages that I had growing up were about protection. They were about scarcity. They were about lack, and they were about loss. And so I was programmed, completely programmed, to think everything bad first, and then eventually I'd try to have to excavate through that to come up with some positive messages for myself to move forward. And it created a wall, a giant wall and a barrier towards being who I really was.
In the next chapter, you deal with a subject that is important that you mentioned earlier concerning course correction. Tell me about certain techniques that you utilize, visualization, meditation, and journaling. Tell me about the role of that in course correction.
Well, course correction is all about understanding that we are here as our primary purpose in this lifetime. One of our primary purposes is to learn how to manifest what it is that we want, no matter where you are, no matter how stuck you feel, no matter how depressed you might feel in the moment. And course correction is about identifying that you are a master manifester, and you can create anything you want if you use tools. One of the main tools, obviously, is just your emotional system. So getting in touch with how you feel about something. And if you feel a stop or a block, what I like to do is use imagination, to use visualization, to use creative imagery, anything I can to move through that block. So, for example, when I had to finish the book, I was having a terrible time, and I was terribly stuck because I was deathly afraid. I finally figured I was deathly afraid to put my message out there in the world, because what if somebody reads it? I was afraid that what if they reject it? What if nobody likes it? What if it's not embraced? And I had to take that fear, look it straight in the eye. I call it putting your boots in the right direction. If you're actually putting your boots in the direction where you're trying to go, any fear you can walk right through. So I imagine myself literally walking through the fear of whether someone didn't care for it or was going to overtly reject it. And then I would actually be able to smooth it out and kind of dissipate that so it became a little more smoky. And then I turn my boots in the other direction, and I imagine I go, well, what if somebody actually does like it? And then you get to walk through and feel a little more positive about it. So it's tying in your imagery with your feelings, with your emotions, and also going with what's in your gut. Every time I thought about finally finishing this product, finally putting it out there, that felt so light and positive and happy that I was able to keep moving through the fear back and forth till it literally disappears. Finished it, got it out there in the world, and now having, fortunately, very positive feedback. Anyone who feels stuck, anybody who feels depressed, anyone who's standing right in the middle of their years, maybe 30, 40, 50 years old, and said, I can't believe this is where I ended up. Is this really what I have? Is this really who I'm with? Is this really how I feel about myself? Is this really my physical condition? Anyone who's having those doubts and fears, this book is designed to show them not only can you overcome that, but there are very simple processes in place in these 14 rules that will really help you have a happy life.
Give me a little idea of the research and scholarship involved in the book. Say, for example, one book that you cite is The Intention Experiment. Why did you use that and other books as a part of your scholarship?
Well, going back to some of the early things we were talking about, I literally consider myself to be a sponge. I have no less than 50 self-help metaphysical books or spiritual books by my bedstand every day. And I keep reading and I keep finding more. And so what I like to do is find the spiritual thought leaders, anyone who has helped me either achieve a life lesson or obtain a goal, or one of those books that you say, in your lifetime, if you want to have a happy relationship, you need to read this. That's what I collect. So in some of my collections, for example, Gay Hendricks has a book called Conscious Loving. That book is by far one of the books that has helped me now create. I ended my relationship and my marriage in a very healthy, happy way for not only myself but for my children and for everybody involved, and then went on to a much more satisfying relationship for myself now. I'm engaged. And I use the principles, for example, in Gay Hendricks' book every day because he has, for example, a practice called micro-truthing. And when you micro-truth in the moment, without a big emotional charge, you get to address whatever is happening in the relationship. And that experience of micro-truthing allows everything to quickly and easily be conscious, but also to dissipate. So you can call someone out and speak your piece in the moment in a healthy, happy way. What happens is no matter what you're afraid of, no matter what's going on in a relationship, no matter what your other partner did to irritate you, you can call it out, discuss it, and have a very simple practice for letting it all go away. Because most of the time people don't know that they're doing something that could create something that you're going to stuff. So it allows you to be unstuffed and kind of happy, healthy, and functioning. And that's just one example. I have a collection of authors that I think are just absolutely fabulous. I have cited them throughout my book, which makes it part story, part drama, part, eat, pray, love in a way, but also much more educational in that these authors are just absolutely life-changing in some of the things I learned from them.
Tell me about the role of the law of attraction as it relates to this particular scholarship.
The law of attraction is, for me, the kind of the founding fathers, Esther and Jerry Hicks. They are the founding fathers of the law of attraction. They were one of the very first to introduce it to the marketplace, the first to make it popular, and they were the ones that were originally going to be part of the movie called The Secret. They decided not to participate in that movie at the time, but Esther and Jerry Hicks, with their entity called Abraham, come with a very, very simple message. The message is, whatever you think about, whatever you pay attention to, whatever you're focused on, whatever you're talking about, gossiping about, or possibly daydreaming about is coming your way. So you have to make it good. You have to make it intentional, and you have to make it what you want. So contrary to the stinking thinking, it's obviously directly the opposite. It's everything that you need to take a moment and focus on. Wow, did I talk about getting sick? Or did I, in this season now where I know I have 2 sick kids in my house, did I talk about getting sick, or am I talking about the fact that I feel well? Am I talking about the fact that I'm so excited about the fact that the next month I have great opportunities to go out and talk to groups? Or am I talking about the fact that I'm stuck, burdened, overwhelmed, and sad? So I'm very, very, very conscious now and encourage everyone that I work with to be highly, highly conscious about what you're bringing in, because in the law of manifestation, it doesn't hear the words, I don't want. It only hears what the subject matter is that you're talking about. So I went through practices where I used to take a little rubber band and put it around my wrist, and every time I would have a negative thought, anything that I didn't want to have coming my way, I would snap it. And eventually, I bruised myself for quite a while. I actually bruised myself for a couple months because I kept snapping that thing. But eventually, I started to retrain my mind and really always reach for that one little thought that makes you feel better. And therefore, manifestation becomes much easier.
The name of the best-selling book is The Real Brass Ring, Change Your Life Course Now. This particular chat will be featured at dralvin.com, dralvin.com on Facebook, and also the conversation will continue on Twitter at Dr. Alvin Jones. That's where we discover wisdom, one brilliant mind at a time. Give me a final thought, then tell me how to get a copy of the book.
The final thought is, most likely when we do pass to the other side, there's only going to be one question that's really going to be asked. And that question is, did you love your life? And I encourage everybody to take the steps now so that when you get there, you can answer that question with an absolute affirmative, yes, I love my life and I had a fabulous time here on earth because I did everything that I was supposed to do and everything that I love to do. And you can get this book on The Real Brass Ring, Change Your Life Course Now, is on Amazon.com, it's on BarnesandNoble.com, and it is part of our website, which I have designed to be a sanctuary for midlife transformation called LiveYourEverything.com.
Well, thank you so very much for being on today's broadcast, sharing your personal testimony, your scholarship and research, and may this be your best day ever.
Thank you very much for having me.